Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another profound episode of the best darn show on the internet. I almost forgot how to talk right there in the middle of that. That was crazy. Anyway, I remembered, and the show will go on. Yes, profound, and I say profound only because we're talking about an amazing story. We're going to continue today with The Alchemist, but we'll get into that. And I say best darn show on the internet because, I mean, prove me wrong. I'm done, making excuses and defenses for why we say we're the best darn show. We're just going to say it. We're not going to say anything else. You guys get it. Anyway, how are you doing today, Sharon?
Yeah, I'm good. And I like profound because we do say some profound things on here. If I must say so myself. And I've been reading this book called The Greatest Story Never Told by Richard Martini, and it's about his interviews with mediums or channelers who channel people like Jesus and Buddha and just other people, like his friend Bill Paxton. Does anybody know that guy? And other people like that. Interesting stuff.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, we were speaking about it a bit before the show, and it's really interesting to me because I think about channeling work and when you channel different people or, whatever, different consciousnesses. And I was talking just yesterday about how when people channel things, I was having this conversation, I was explaining how I feel. It's my belief anyway. We're not making claims, but I think that when we talked about this on the show too, but when it comes through, it's through the lens of the person that's channeling it. And,
Yes.
in other words, this entity or whatever they're channeling is not going to give them any kind of information that is going to help them directly raise their consciousness or like wake up to something. Like it's not going to be like, hey, dude, you should quit doing this, or, what. It's going to give you, if you believe we're on a spinning ball, it's going to give you
Give
that
you that
perspective. If you
perspective.
believe we're in a flat physical plane, flat Earth, it's going to give you that. If you believe we're in a simulation, so like those are just examples that we use all the time. So that's how I feel like it works. And the other thing I want to say about channeling, and I like to say that a lot before give those kind of disclaimers. And the other thing I want to say about kind of having to do with channeling is that's, we said how the show can be profound at times. We say things, it's not because we think we're just so amazing and we're the best. It's because I feel like sometimes we are channeling on this show. It's a type of channeling. We go out and gather all this knowledge and information that we do and read different books and listen to things. And then we come on the show or with the intention of looking at like the Tao when we did that, or today the Alchemist, with the intention of looking at these works, literary works or whatever they are, and deciphering them and trying to let people know what it could mean, uh, or I guess you say, put it in simpler words, or also decode it a little bit. And I feel like that's what's kind of going on anyway with me sometimes when I go on a little rant. And I feel like it because it's like all these these pieces of information that were floating in my head, they all just clicked into place. And then I see something a certain way and I'm able to just kind of express it. And I feel like it's like that for writing and art also, stuff like that, when you're just in the zone. And I feel like that's why it's so important to be in the present moment, everybody.
Yeah.
So, and here's a
I
little
forgot
reminder.
to
Go
say
ahead,
what I
man.
was saying.
Oh,
I
yeah, go
mean,
ahead.
I didn't get to what I was going to say.
Oh, please
And
do.
that was that I'm reading that book, and it's
Oh, yeah.
so synchronistic to all the things that come up just in regular life. As Brandon and I were talking just prior to recording, he was saying all these things, and I'm like, all those things that he mentioned, just random things, whether it was like the word holography or holographic or whatever, that was in that book. Like
Or
just
Chuck
all these,
Berry. I just,
yeah, Chuck, yeah, he says Chuck Berry, and I'm like, they mentioned him in this book. That's like so random. It's like bizarre.
Yeah, I
But
was using
anyways,
Chuck Berry as an analogy, and then she's like, "Oh, they mentioned him in the book for another reason." I was like, "Of course."
yeah. And not only that, but as I'm reading, all the concepts that I'm seeing are things that we talk about on the show. And I'm just like, okay. That's why I said profound. Yes, we do say some profound things, because not saying that in a way that's like touting ourselves like, oh, we're these great beings or whatever, but just to say that other, I guess other books are talking about pretty much the same things we are. And I've never read these books before. I'm just reading them now. So it's kind of synchronistic as well.
Yeah, it goes along with the whole
Kind of
thing
like
we
an
talk about where
omen.
the many pathways to the mountaintop, you know. You were
Dude,
already
that's
onto it.
mentioned in this book too. I'm pretty sure. I've like toward the beginning, because they were interviewing Jesus and he was saying he recognized there were many paths up the mountain, and that's why he had to go into like India and like into the east to study all these things, like Tibet and all these places to study. Maybe he didn't specifically say India, so don't quote me, but he went into the east and he studied all these things. And it's because he knew that there were many paths up the mountain. That's what he said in the, in the channeling session.
Yeah, that's so crazy too because I had when I first started doing comedy, maybe the first or second year in, so maybe around like 2014, 2015, and that's when I started podcasting actually. So I was doing comedy for about a year, then I remember I don't remember what I was doing, but I had this it's when I first was getting into meditation and like ideas of Jesus and stuff and like looking at different things. I don't know if I was into the Bhagavad Gita yet. Yeah, maybe I was. That's what it was. I think that sparked it. I had this like vision or idea to make a movie where like they show Jesus up to the age of 12 and like after that he goes to like India, or all these places to kind of learn or start, who knows. Just he just gets all that and then he comes back when he's 33 and the fact that it's in the book somewhere already, it's like okay, so that just means it's like in there that so maybe it didn't happen, who knows, but it's very plausible and people are saying because of his teachings it looks like he could have just went through there. So I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
another sync.
And
Right?
it was, yeah. And the thing too in this book is that Richard Martini, the author who's recording some of these, I guess, interviews with the other side, he calls the flip side. Um, he actually went to Tibet
Ooh.
with, I guess, a guy named Robert Thurman, and he did record stuff while he was out there. And when he was meeting with people out there, he went to this temple and they told him Jesus studied here, but they didn't call him that. They called him Isa, because that's how you say Isa. And in Arabic, actually, is how you say Jesus, you say Isa. So,
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know how the game telephone works, and I know that there's allegedly 2,000 years between this time and that time, so you got to all take it all with a grain of salt. But, I mean, it looks like either the teaching went through this or there was a man named Jesus, or, like, so it's really cool because, again, we don't make claims on the show. We're just telling you what we read and what resonates with us and what sounds right. So if you identify with Jesus, you don't have to be a quote unquote Christian. You could be an esoteric Christian. You could be imitation of Christ. You could be like, I just like Thomas A. Kempis. Because I feel like Thomas A. Kempis, I think I said this recently, he's probably just like, Saint Francis and all these other people where they're just like, in their day, they were probably like a thorn in the side of the church because they were probably asking questions and stuff, or maybe, they're butting up against things. But then once they're dead, they canonize them and then they're like, oh, these guys are great. We're going to name a hospital after this guy, St. Francis. Anyway.
dude, you're talking about something that made me think of also listening and reading this book by, well, it's a Manly P. Hall. It's a collection of a lot of his like lectures, not lectures, essays or whatever, journal writings that he did, maybe lectures. And there's one about Benjamin Franklin. Dude, Benjamin Franklin freaking got it, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It talks about how he did not like to make statements like it is obvious or everyone knows or the subject is not debatable. The book says these are uh, seldom welcome phrases. Even worse, uh, the grander troublemakers are, I know, I am convinced. This should be obvious to any sensible person. From experience, Ben believed that the soft answer turneth away wrath, and he had a splendid reputation as ambassador to France, where a slip of the tongue could have ended in disaster.
Oh yeah.
Basically, he pretty much didn't make claims. He didn't ruffle people's feathers
He
like that.
stayed in honor.
Yep. Um, it's so funny. It there's a lot more that he says, but it's like it's really good.
Manly P. Hall.
Sorry, the book is called The Secret History of America.
Oh yeah. Yep, I've seen that book before. I
Yeah.
Manly P. Hall or womanly G corridor. Anyway, it makes you think like because Manly P. Hall is probably a pen name, right? Like
Dude,
Hall.
no. There's something I was
I
reading
remember
throughout
you were
because
saying that, right?
I've been reading a lot of his works and like things about him, and I haven't fully finished the book that's like about his life, which is it was written by some other guy. What's that guy's an interesting guy too. But anyway, his name was something he struggled with. He didn't like it. Like he was annoyed with his mom for having given him a weird name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like yeah.
And
And here's
then
your sister, womanly G
yeah,
corridor.
and
Now
I
go to school and don't
don't
get made fun of. Sorry.
don't quote me, but his name Palmer Hall, those two are like his mother's maiden or something because he didn't even know. I don't think he knew who his dad was or anything. Speaking of,
Speaking of omens, because guess what, everybody? We're not really sure. It could it be that Brandon Bonanza found out, and I might have talked about this on the show. I don't know if it's just talking with Sharon, but I had these sneaking suspicions. Let's just say, everybody, I'm the firstborn, and I just recently confirmed that I don't the person I thought was my dad isn't. So interesting, and I'm not quite sure who my dad is. So this means it could be an immaculate conception, even
oh
though
my God.
Sharon said. Anyway, so all for comic purposes, everybody. This is just, comedy. Again, I'm not taking this like a victim. I'm actually looking at it like it's an adventure. I'm really excited because this means, my dad could be anybody, could be a rock star. Like, I don't want to know. I'd like rather just think it was like, uh, who's the guy from,
Rockstar.
who's the guy from, Alan Parsons
Oh,
Project. I am the Alan Parsons Project, everybody.
I did tell you once you looked like Alan Watts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, it was the 70s and, the spice melange was flowing, if you know what I mean. So, anyway, no, I think
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. And because I keep everybody up to date on things, and this was like a real huge breakthrough for me in self-work because I had all this unconscious, I guess, guilt maybe, or like this weight,
Anger or
anger probably too. Yeah, anger because I feel like I wasn't accepted as much. Like nothing is wrong. I'm not going to say anything against who I previously thought my father was. He did a lot of great things and he raised me and everything. But I'm just saying, like, we we wouldn't agree on certain things, and now it just makes
you
so
would
much sense. I'm
clash.
like,
Yeah.
I get it. Because it's the kind of resistance I get. I've noticed now that I'm older. It's the kind of resistance I get from people when I have like really good ideas about things, and I'm like, oh, like, why don't we do it this way? And a lot of people are open to that, but then sometimes people take it personally. They're like, oh, this is the way. So it's stuff like that, because I'm really good at finding the simplest way to do things. Sharon will tell you. But yeah, so I feel like this huge weight's been lifted off. So I've been just floating around for the past, 24 hours or so. By the time you guys read this, I read this. By the time
Listen,
you guys are watching this, I might have already ascended into the sky. Could it be?
you know what's another sync?
What's that?
You know how you said you always like growing up, like kind of like to your friends and stuff, you'd call him by his first name.
Yeah.
That's something that I was talking about just the other day with my siblings because we got together for Mother's Day stuff and my nephew's graduation. And we were joking around because Cody thinks it's nuts that my siblings and I, we, when we're talking to each other, we're like, my mom. We say, like, where's my mom? Or what's my mom? Why is my mom doing that? Or what, and then he'll look at us like, whose mom is she? Isn't she both your moms? Like, do you guys? And it's funny because when we were growing up, April and I, my younger sister, when we were in grade school, we'd do that to each other at school. We'd be like, yeah, well, my mom this and my mom that. And they'd be like, do you guys not have the same mom? Like, you guys have different moms? We're like, no, we have the same mom. And and then I brought up how funny it was that my brother's ex a girlfriend, she's a really cool girl. I like her. But anyway, she's still our friend. We're still friends with her. But she's Irish and she would call her parents by their first names.
Mm.
She still does. And so I texted her and I was like, I was remembering that about you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that's funny because she's like, I think it's an Irish thing because my friend does that with her, like her parents too.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I love it.
so that's kind of a sync too.
That is a funny thing. Yeah, I've called him Johnny since at least my mid to young teenage years because my friends would call him Johnny. My uncle called him Johnny. My
That's
mother's
funny as
brother.
hell.
My mother's brother would call him Johnny Boy because my mother's twin brother lived with us for a while. He liked the spice melange allegedly too. They were all partying. It was great. So he would call him Johnny Boy all the time. That's when we started calling him that. But it's funny
Johnny be
because
good.
yeah, that too. Yeah, exactly. Chuck Berry, Johnny be good. So yeah, I feel like I probably always known, but I
That's
just wasn't
funny.
ready for it. I was telling my lovely wife, I think I just wasn't ready for the information because I might have used my anger. Whereas now I'm just like, this is cool. You know what I mean? Like I was a little like, I guess mad. I don't know. I just didn't know what to think. When she said that,
Yeah.
I didn't think I was gonna get it straight. Anyway, so everybody, yeah. Anywho, do you have a card? Did you want to pull a card? Because it
Did
might.
you even read the quote? What should I pull the
Oh,
card?
I didn't read that.
Yeah. And
Look at me projecting.
and you didn't turn on the Great Pyramid scheme.
That's right, because we were waiting
Yeah.
all that
We're
information
waiting
out
to
so we
do a
could
commercial
cleanse it.
for
Well,
one thumbs up a week. You too can join the greatest pyramid scheme ever,
that's right.
the Oversharon Show.
We got a donation too, and this will be a couple weeks ago. Even forgot to tell you.
No, how
So
dare you?
yeah, our friend. I don't know if we should say her name. I don't know, but
Okay, yeah. Just
she knows who
it's
she is.
okay.
She's in our group, and we'll be seeing her probably soon. So
Oh, fantastic.
thanks for
Yay.
hooking it up. I was really busy this weekend. I saw it. I was like, oh sweet. But I knew I was going to talk to you today, which is Monday. Uh, yeah, I was gonna say something. I was like, yes, more laws, more problems.com, guys. Listen, one thumbs up a day, you could feed. Look at how
Thumbs
skinny I
up a
am.
week.
I need this attention. I need your thumbs up. Yeah. So one thumbs up a week, and you could be a part of the Great Pyramid Scheme. And really, all it is, and why it's the greatest pyramid scheme, because there really is no like scam
Scheme.
or scheme. Yeah, we say scheme and it's like a tongue in cheek, like a because we feel like we're secret agents and we're just by working on ourselves, we make the world a better place maybe, but whatever. But we've noticed people around us to respond better and the energy gets better. So that's like our secret agent thing. We don't even have to talk about it. And I realized that the other day, I was having a conversation with somebody. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like there was a lot of minefields in there that I could have just stepped on. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on what we have in common. I'm not even going to talk about my belief that the moon is made out of cheese. And if you are going to go there and not bring crackers, you are insane. But I won't talk about that. No. So anyway, that's the Great Pyramid Scheme. So go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. Click on the Over Sharon tab. That's where you're going to find everything, our podcast, all the fun stuff, and follow us. Do that and hit thumbs up, and we'll love you. And be here every Thursday when we premiere, like we are today, or go live like we do on other weeks, and hang out in the chat with us.
I feel like we started the Great Pyramid scheme before even reading this book about the Great Pyramid.
Oh, we did, yeah. We did.
right? It was well before that. That's the omen part about it, the synced part about it.
You're never safe when it comes to puns. I'm gonna bring up the quote and remind me, if this comes up later, because I thought of there's this thing going on in the world where people, I've talked about it before. There's a journey to truth from A to Z, and some people get stuck on the J's, right? You get stuck on these people across the ocean in this tiny country, and you think they're. So if you're one of these people, I get it, and you're upset, but you don't have to hate and you don't have to hurt anybody. You could be like Jesus and you could just flip the tables. So if
That's
you're
all you got to
upset
do.
about Palestine and what's going on, you just
Flip
go
the
over
tables.
to the country that has the people that with the J or whatever you're mad at them, and you go into their little war room and you flip their map tent tables and you just flip the tables. That's all. And you're like, listen, this is a nonviolent demonstration. We're in Israel. Oh shit, I said it. Damn it. I I'm just gonna flip tables anyway. I'm not saying that I'm just working.
That Jesus was in Israel and
Yeah, that you're
Palestine.
following Jesus and you're just flipping tables and think about how much it'd piss them off and they can't do anything to you. You're just flipping tables. I mean, they can't do anything to me because look at me. They've already
You're
crucified.
like the second coming.
That's what I'm saying. It would be like they'd be like, just let him flip the tables, man. Look at this guy. Like we can't hurt him. They'd crucify us.
Oh my God.
All right,
Speaking
so
of the second
I'm
coming,
just working on comedy. Or
that book is
we don't hate
talking
anyone
about
here. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
that book was talking about the second coming, and they're like, uh, talking to maybe Jesus. I can't remember who, but they're saying that the second coming is just more like a metaphor, if I remember correctly, and that it's that he never left. He's always been here. So the
How
second com-
dare
the
you?
second coming is
Sorry.
more like you recognizing that he never left,
Yeah.
that he
Well,
was always here.
it's like realizing that home is a different place when you come back because you have a different perspective. It's that whole quote that I forget, but I know the concept, so I just say the concept instead of the quote.
From
Anyway,
who?
that's what you get here in the Oversharing show. I love that though because it really that idea of Christ never left. He was here apparently, allegedly, right? And he lived this life of like fucking did it right, man. He got it in the books. It's like somebody who's an Olympic, runner. I don't know if you know this, but I gotta tell everybody, I'm racist. I hate the 50-meter dash. I hate that race. It's the only race I hate. I love black. I mean, I love black people. Everyone else is great. Like I just hate the 50-meter dash. Am I racist? Anyway, so if you're Olympic, right? You're Olympic jumper, long jumper, whatever, and you get that boom and you beat the record, put it in the books, man. That's what he did. The second he got crucified, and then I heard crazy stuff. It was probably Sharon talking about it, and on the other podcast about how
From that
like
book.
from that book that there's ways to make yourself look like you died, but you didn't. You could slow everything down, and then they put you in a tomb and you revive yourself. So say somebody did live that example of a life. It's out there now. It's like the 100 monkeys syndrome where something gets figured out by like 100 monkeys and then they all know how to do it or whatever. It's in, you know what it is? It's in the field now. It
The
was
Akashic
accomplished.
record.
So it's in the field. So if you look at our tourist field that some people call
Everything
planet
is
Earth,
there.
some people will call planet Earth, some people call it simulation 69, some people will call it a flat, whatever. But if you look at that, the way I look at it, and Sharon looks at it similar as a spiritual realm, there's this. If you achieve something in this realm, it like becomes part of it. Like it gets written down. It's like a law now. Like this guy lived this life. Here you go. God or whatever it is wakes up and's like, boom, this is my son. I'm gonna make the sky darken or whatever, right? All this stuff happens. Now this is the model life that you want to live. Now, of course, you don't have to wear sandals and be a fisherman, or who knows if that was allegory, but it's more his message, right? Follow the parables, the golden rule, do that stuff as much as you can, And I was thinking about this the other day, we
Love.
always
He is
say,
the epitome of love. But go
yes,
ahead.
yeah, that's perfect because I was going to say, do unto others as you want to do unto yourself, right? You have to love, and we always say you have to love yourself first before you love others. And I had this epiphany about it, and I was like, you can't love anyone else unless you love yourself because you you're treating everybody like you treat yourself. This is the secret, everybody. In a way, you treat even if someone is like, no, that guy's a narcissist, right? And so maybe the narcissist is just the polar opposite of like a Christ figure. So that person believes he's treating himself better than everyone else and he's plotting and scheming, but really he's doing a lot of damage to himself, right? Like probably internally because when you hurt people, so we're thinking of this concept of self-love. You can only treat other people to the capacity that you can treat yourself. So if you're unable to love yourself, I'm sorry, everybody, but you can't love anyone else. Right? This is some hard truth. Where's the bell? Ring the bell. Ding it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Because, oh, here we go. You guys probably can't hear it. But if you're with somebody and you don't love yourself, you don't really love them. It's more of like and this is what happens in relationship. And I'm not judging. This isn't like, oh, I'm judging your relationship because everyone's where they're at. Like this is just maybe I'm wrong, right? We're not making claims. I'll change it up. It's not a claim. But, and I think we said this in a show, but it was toward the end, so we're saying it in the beginning now. A lot of times we're in these cycles, and what happens is if we're with another person, we try to run away and we don't realize it. We'll look for in any situation where it's like, nope, fuck it, I'm bailing, right? This person, and you perceive a slight against you, you take it personally. We always say don't take things personally, but they do something, you take it personally, like, that's it, I'm out, and you run away because you're afraid that they're going to run away from you because you have abandonment issues and wounds. What did I just talk about? I just talked about, I don't know, my dad is, right? So this is all this stuff we come up with this society and we get these abandonment issues. And even if we have the most perfect parents that did the best job they could, because I think, well, all parents, I think we're all doing our best. Listen, some parents are out of our lives because if they were in our lives, it'd probably be worse. So just be grateful anyway. So I don't want to get lost there, but yeah, the rewind. So you're with these people. Where was I going with this whole thing? Oh yeah, abandonment issues. So anyway, we suffer some kind of, and it's not even the abandonment issues or the trauma itself. I feel like you probably agree with me, Sharon. It's more that no one talks about it and no one's conscious of it. So we have these wounds. We're running around with like gaping wounds and we're just bleeding, and everyone's like, "This is fucking fine." Let me hold on to your wound for a while. Hold on to yours. Oh, you hurt it. I feel like that's what's going on. So everything really we talk about here, it has to do with self-love and healing those wounds. And really healing those wounds is just seeing that everything about you is perfect. Everything that you went through was supposed to happen to be the person you are today, to be right where you are, to be ready for what's coming. I mean, it only makes sense that way. If you, like we were saying earlier, time, maybe we said this before the show, but it's not, it's more of a construct or an illusion.
That book
We're,
talks about that too.
yeah, that's where I got,
Everything is there. Everything's already here. Everything's already there.
yeah.
Everything's already accessible to you.
Exactly. So in a way, it already happened, and I know that's hard for us more mere mortals to grasp. But really, what you could take out of that is like it's okay to make a mistake and fuck up, and make there it really is no right choice because if you make the choice that you think was right, you never made that other choice. So then you have no idea. So you have this in the back of your head. You have this. Well, what if I did eat that ice cream sundae, and what if I went there and instead you just push it down, and then because of it you get mad and you snap, and then you crash in traffic, and who knows? You should have just ate the ice cream sundae, and not been hard on yourself. Anywho, I'll bring
Dude,
up go ahead.
there's a spot where in
I
that
just
book,
go until I forget what I was talking about. That's my style of ranting. Go ahead.
um, there's a spot in that book that I highlighted. It's nuts. I gotta read it now because you brought it up. Okay. Um, so
Is this just a free? Should we just make this a free form episode? Because we're going for like 45 minutes. So,
I think so, I
all
guess.
right. Yeah. It's good that we took a break. And let me tell you, I'm going to let you read in a second. But, I found out some crazy news. Sharon, look, both of us. And this is something I'm realizing because, like, everybody I know, I have a friend that his mom passed away, another friend that had a situation like that, or, issue with their parents. And just relations, like things are really like we were talking, and guys, if you rewind the show, go back to 2021, 2022, the good old days of oversharing, you'll hear us talking about it's coming. It's coming. Well, it's freaking here. Like 2025, I don't know what's going on, especially once we hit May. I'm seeing things, and I talked about them on past episodes too, but people are starting to manifest their realities like in real time. And it doesn't, like I was talking about, two people who were covering their smiling faces and they had a better seat at a wedding than a bride and groom because they asked ahead of time if they could have a different seat and they put them outside. And it was great. Like, I was like, what's going on? Right. So it doesn't matter what your perspective is. So to stop judging people, don't worry about what the normies are doing. Because if you're worried about them, then guess what? You're contributing to their reality in a way. You could just have a love for them and contribute that way. And then you could take your precious attention and focus it on your own life. And just by doing that, that's an act of self-love. And you're going to like see these rewards, I'm telling you. And at first, don't blame us, guys. Don't come to the Oversharing show and be like, man, I started meditating and looking at things and this is crazy. I can't take it. It gets better, guys. It gets better. Just keep rolling with the punches. That's why they make, Bach, or this is why they make just go down some fun rabbit holes. You have a good time with it. Read the Kabbalion,. Watch the Oversharing show. Anyway. Yeah, I'm excited. I want to this is going to be a good ranting show, I think. So
All right.
we'll lay my
Well,
last in the beginning, everybody. We're not going to talk about the Alchemist, but we'll have it tagged correctly so everybody will know by the time it comes out. Anyway, go ahead, Sharon. I'm sorry.
all right. I'll just give you guys a little background. Oh, this is funny as hell. Um,
I can already.
I just went to look for, I searched in my ebook for the what I was looking for. And this is the spot where I got. Um, so again, we're talking about this book called The Greatest Story Never Told. It's by a man named Richard Martini, who was like producer, I guess, Hollywood producer. So he knows some of the, like, he was friends with Bill Paxton. So um he met this lady who had a son who was on the other side, and I guess I can't remember if it was her or she knew somebody who could talk to the other side, that what he calls the flip side.
Really, really quickly, I just watched a movie with Bill Paxton in it. He's in Aliens. He's the
That's
one that
crazy.
I think he's the one who's like freaking out. He's like, "There's something moving in here, but it ain't us, man. Game over, man. Game
Yeah.
over."
Wasn't
Right?
he also on Apollo 13 too?
Yeah.
Cody and I recently watched that one. I don't know if did we finish it? I think we finished it.
Aliens. Alien. I highly recommend it for people. It's such an underrated like series. It's really good that you could skip Alien 3 if you guys watch Alien 1 and 2. Come to me and I could, unless you feel like having a real bummer, and it's a bummer, man. That whole it's good though. It's esoteric. You know what? I would just watch it anyway if you're into that series. But I don't. You're not going to be as excited as 1 and 2, and then Resurrection. We watched it. It plays more like a 2000. It's from 97, and Winona Ryder's in it. Like a bunch of people are in it, but it plays more like a mid 2000s to 2010 movie. Like it even looks like it. And we watched after that, we're watching Beetlejuice 2 now. And Winona Ryder's so old in it compared to 97, which I get. But the fact that I couldn't see it as a 90s movie, I'm like, man, she aged so much in like, 10, whatever. But anyway, um,
We saw that too recently. We watched
we
the
didn't
second
finish it, but
Beetlejuice.
it's really
Okay.
good. She fell asleep, but yeah,
It's silly, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's silly, but it
Yeah.
seems pretty cool. Yeah. And I guess they had to take the husband out because I didn't know this, but I guess I'm not making claims, but he got arrested. I'll just say that. And it was for the thing that everyone hates about Hollywood. What do you guys hate about Hollywood? They're the big P's. I guess I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not making claims because I heard this third-hand news, but he's not in it, so they have him die or something. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Like
good movie though.
he's no longer in the picture.
Danny DeVito makes a little
Appearance. Oh
cameo.
my God, he was ridiculous.
He's so funny. He was the Penguin. Oh my God. Anyway,
Oh my God.
and Michael
Yeah, we
Keaton was in
haven't
that.
we're gonna watch Batman soon where he's the Penguin. We just finished watching the first Batman because I hadn't seen it in years. ages.
I think, you know what? I figured out my purpose. I think it is to become an actor and be the next Joker, not die and like do it. I'm not saying nobody did it right, but I think I'm feeling it, man. Like I think I'm gonna be like, ah,
The trickster.
because I already. Do you ever see the Joker movie?
No, I didn't want to. It's too like I don't like those kind of like
No,
they're
you're
too
better off. You're
like
better off.
dark. I don't
Yeah,
like it.
you're better off. You're better off. But something happened in that movie that happened to me. It was so crazy. But anyway, I can't talk about it on air. Um, and I'll talk about anything on air, guys. Well, I wonder what
Oh
it is. Go
God.
to our oversharing group. Maybe I'll share I'll spill the beans allegedly.
Yeah, you can maybe do that in the group chat.
Yeah. Anyway, it was nothing. It was nothing bad. It was just a funny thing that happened. So yeah. Anyway, where were we
So
again? Oh yeah.
there's this lady named Dr. Medhus, Medhus, Medhus. I don't know how to pronounce it necessarily. And her son took his own life and went to the other side. And she was like total skeptic of anything like that. But not long after he passed, he was like sending her all kind of like messages. Like he was even like moving things in the house, like turning things on and off and just stuff like that to get her attention. And then I can't remember whether she met somebody or knew somebody that would talk to the other side, and that's how it worked out. But eventually she started to talk to him, and now she has a podcast or she has like videos on YouTube. Um, and I think the channel is called Channeling Eric. I have not seen anything from it yet because I've been reading this book, but maybe one of these days I'll watch one of the videos on her channel. On her channel, quote.
I just thought of something crazy. Sorry, go
What?
ahead.
Go ahead.
What if an immaculate conception is when the father gets the woman pregnant but then dies before the baby's born? So it's like the same soul.
Oh, that's weird. Interesting.
Is that kind of because when you were talking about, not to make this about me, but when you're talking about that lady and her son, I was like, oh, I wonder if, my alleged or my father is, my real father's dead or whatever. And if he's always been with me, because I've always had this feeling of presence. And I thought it was like myself could be, obviously, we're all one anyway, right? So he would
Yeah,
just be me anyway. But it's a good way to think about it, right? Like,
that's interesting.
and what if that's with, and then that led me to Immaculate Conception. Like, because what if somebody dies before their child is born? Like, is it, because I would think, maybe in the womb. I don't know though. I don't know. Maybe it's at the moment of spark. You get the soul or attach. I don't know how that works, but
Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about that on different
so like maybe
whatever.
Jesus's father wasn't Joseph. He was the guy who came in after, but there was like another guy, then he died, and who knows? But I'm just saying, like maybe that's an allegory for or a way that they would say it's Immaculate Conception, and maybe that's not even really what happens. You know, like that's not what happens, but maybe people thought that. Like oh, if he dies, and he's going to be born again, and is something I don't know.
Oh,
No,
like reincarnation type stuff.
yeah, like if they were into reincarnation, like say a civilization was into reincarnation, it's possible that they could have some belief pop up that is like, oh, if you have if you get your wife pregnant and then you
You die,
die,
then yeah.
perhaps it's possible. And the reason I
Well,
would
that's
say,
an interesting. Then you reincarnate into the baby. Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, and then it would kind of
Yeah.
be like an immaculate conception type of idea because there's no
Yeah.
father really.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is,
The
and
father's actually the son. But then you have that concept of like
the father being the
Isis,
son.
Osiris, Horus, all
And
that whole
sacrifices
concept.
too. You
Yeah.
get like a lot of human sacrifice. So maybe I could see a culture. Maybe that's even what it was. They just have. Maybe we just put it together here in the Oversharing show. Somebody must be had that idea. But if they didn't, you heard it here first, or no one else is talking about it at least. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
yeah, because like the Egyptian thing we were talking about, like the father and the son and the
Yeah. Hmm.
And you know what else is interesting? My mom is a Leo. My wife is a Leo.
That's funny.
So it's like I had to be raised and
I'm a rising Leo. I'm a
yeah,
Leo
it's all
rising.
this queenly energy is around me because why? I'm a fucking king, nigga. No, we was gang. Guys, I'm
King
not, I
of
told you I'm
the
not racist. I say that word because it's so awesome. You're not
King
supposed
of
to say it.
the
Jews. Uh, king of the world. So, but anyway, the other thing is interesting because the way my personality is, my type too. You think about it like the INTP, you can get stuck in a thing where you always think you're right and you know you're right and you have to be right and like whatever. But with this Leo queenly energy, I'm able also to kind of be like a
work
people
on that.
pleaser in a way. Yeah, work on it. And then also I could be a people pleaser, so I have to watch it, but not totally like being a people pleaser in a negative way, but I have a way to like put others first too, I guess. But it was like inspired by, it had to be inspired by something more powerful than me. You know what I mean? Because like I'm this giant smart man who's like, I know everything. But then I have these queens around me that are just like, listen to us. You know, it's profound. I mean, I've been having some like, just like, whoa. And it's all just self-love, everybody. I'm not trying to start a cult here. Maybe I should chill out with it. This is all comedy, guys. I mean, it's true, but I don't want you to be putting me on shirts and praising me. It's cool. There's already a guy that looks like me. They did that too. See what happened to him? But yeah, it's just interesting correlations I'm putting together. But so that lady has a podcast now. Was she is the guy writing about her or
Yeah, so he's either seen her videos and he's like transcribing them or he's recorded them. I can't remember how it all works out.
oh gotcha.
But he's documented the what's in the recording, like who says what and then what they're saying. So there is the part that I kind of got to, I kind of scooched back a little just to see it. I'll go a little bit back and it says, does he, so the questioner is asking, does he, and speaking of Jesus, have dark or light skin? And it says Jesus is like a very, very tanned Caucasian, not white skin, but tan. Fine features, skin is not rough. It doesn't look like it's been in the sun forever. So he's tan, but it's not like he's been like rough, like in the sun forever. And this guy has heard these descriptions of him being tan from multiple people who talk about him or who come through and they're talking about him having seen him in previous lives. Um, so then one of the next questions is, was your birth an immaculate conception? And he smiles and she says he smiles and tilts his head and says no. And then the next question is, reflecting on your life, do you think you accomplished your mission? And he says, yes. And Eric, who's sitting next to Jesus, because apparently Eric can bring all these people to talk to them. He's like the socialite. He's like the network guy. He like gets people to come talk to the medium, and so that they can channel. So Eric starts laughing, and his comment was, well, I think he did a pretty good job because people are still talking about him thousands of years later. So the interviewer says, that's true. How do you feel about how they revere you? He's talking to Jesus. The way they spread your word, so to speak. Are they doing what needs to be done? Are they distorted? Are there things you're not happy with? And this is the response. Who this person can see, right? She's a remote viewer, I think. So she can see. She says, he sits down in front of me. It's on a side table, but it doesn't seem to matter to him. He's very comfortable. Jesus says, a lot of my children have gotten lost. A lot of my children have taken my words too literally and too directly and have decided to create a cause or war in defense of my words. If I were able to walk the earth today, I would tell my children that to argue or to defend or to force others to believe in the words that you cherish so deeply for yourself is the wrong way to encourage life. That right there is just
I mean, that's what we're
freaking
doing.
nuts.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So could it be we're not making claims, but yeah.
Like we're not forcing you to believe anything. You can, you know,
Because
trust your own judgment.
you feel it in your own way based on everything you went through.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody could be looked at as some kind of like a sword or a knife. And our experiences are just that sharpening stone that we go through. So everyone has a different kind of sharpening stone or implement, we all cut differently, man. And that's all we're trying to say is like you don't try to put your cutting style into someone else because they might be sharper somewhere else or jagged or who knows. They might be serrated and you're just a straight blade. You're a straight razor.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see things, and it's just like the personality type thing. People see things differently, and I feel like the key and the secret to that is what we say all the time: just focus on what you could see that you have in common. If there's a Christian that you're talking to, just talk about Jesus' parables. Talk about how amazing his hair was. Like he must have smelled great, Jesus in the morning. I love the smell of Jesus in the morning. It smells like salvation.
Smells like teen spirit. I'm just kidding.
That's from a movie. He's like, I love
Okay.
the smell of napalm in the morning. Smells like
Oh.
victory. Apocalypse Now, which
Oh.
gotta
I
watch
don't
that.
think I've ever seen that one.
Yeah, you don't have to. That's a crazy war movie.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
But if you're into that stuff, it's a good movie. So watch it. That's what they see. It's just like Sharon's not into crazy war movies. Some people are. We're not telling you to watch it or not watch it. We're just like, I'm like, you shouldn't watch that one, but I'll watch this. Because if I was like, no, you gotta watch this, because if you don't, it's evil. I don't know. That's what I feel like's going on. But anyway, yeah, that's some profound stuff right there. I guess it did end up being so far a profound episode. We didn't even get to
Yeah,
the quote. I mean,
I know. Do you want I want to keep reading because
yeah, we don't really even need, honestly, we could
do,
break a pattern and not
should
even
we
pull
break
it.
a pattern?
Yeah, not do a quote. And if we want to pull a card, we can even pull one at the end of the episode, maybe just to see.
I pulled it and I haven't looked at it. So we can do it at
Perfect.
the end.
Yeah, let's just keep talking and see if we.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the interviewer is in agreement with what he just said about not forcing others to believe in your words and all that, and all the things that you cherish so deeply for yourself. And he says, okay, fighting against things, resisting, it is part of the ego anyway. And then the lady who's channeling says, your son jumped in and said, there is no right or wrong. Jesus nodded his head. So the kid, Eric, the lady's son, who's on the other side, is like, wait. There's no such thing as right or wrong. And Jesus is going,
Yeah, of course.
correct.
Yeah. You know,
And check it out. Go ahead. What
it's
were you
like the
going to say?
quote we almost used, everybody. You need freedom in order to see if you have morality, because if you
You
don't
know
have,
what? Let's just read it.
all right, it does go
We
well, and
broke
it's
we broke the pattern
yeah, we
just
did.
because we didn't read it right away.
Yeah,
So
because we've been going for about almost an hour because
no way.
we've
Oh,
been
we
recording for,
have.
yeah,
Dude, holy smokes. How did we freaking do that?
because we are a content creating machine here at the Oversharing Show. That's why we say it's the best darn show on the internet, guys. We started
Nuts.
the show with a whole other idea, and we just created one out of thin air. Where are you gonna get that, huh? Huh?
Wow.
And no victim narrative. So where are you gonna get the best chat that doesn't make you want to kill yourself? Uh, a great pyramid scheme. Uh, Very minimal victim narrative. We're still victims. We're not perfect. We still view ourselves, I'm sure, in a way as a victim, but we're working on it. And content out of thin air. Where are you gonna get that? Nowhere. And
Wow.
boom, and amazing quotes in the middle of the show. We're gonna open the middle of our show with a quote. Beneath
Wow.
beneath the thin veneer of culture, the wild beast lurks. But the beast is not tamed by locking it up in a cage. There is no morality without freedom.
Dude,
Carl
that quote goes so well with what we just
G.
read.
Young. Yeah, I mean,
Holy freaking smokes. Like, I'm just so
it's
amazed by the
shaking.
synchronicities and the omens. It's insane.
Hang on,
Dude,
let me
it's
see. Can
crazy.
you see that? I'm gonna try to zoom in. Look at
Yeah.
him. He's looking at you. Not you. Look, everybody. He's like, you know, you can't have morality without freedom, everybody, right? Look at me. I'm smoking my pipe.
Wow.
The spice melange. All right, I'm done. Okay, so yeah, let's totally. Here it is, the thin veneer of culture, guys. It's thin, right? Like, what's
Wow.
going on out there? This culture, this society, people are. That's why a lot of people have pills and, and whatever the escapism. We'll say a lot of people engage in heavy forms of escapism because that veneer is thin. A lot of people don't fit in, man. And if you don't, welcome to the Oversharing Show, where I literally don't fit in because I'm 6'5". I
Holy.
don't fit in the car. No. Anyway, yeah. So you have this thin veneer. Did you want to say something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I've been listening to the audiobook by it's a Ram Dass's basically it's like his autobiography type thing.
That beautiful soul.
It's called Being Ram Dass. Yes. It's so funny because before even reading all of his life story and knowing all about him, I just always had this like just hearing him speak and hearing his stories. I just had this like deep love that I didn't even know where it came from, but it just was like, I just love that man. I don't even know why.
So
Um,
genuine. And
yeah,
really quick, remember how we talked about how he died? You read a book about it was his
it
biography.
it wasn't a book, it was like an article that talked about
Okay.
his death.
So
Like
people
the
were
last guy to meet him or to be with him.
be with him, yes, and they were saying how he was kind of suffering toward the end and stuff.
Yeah.
And that to me, it doesn't really, so I don't get sad about that because that tells me that he was genuine the whole time and he never saw it like some people do. He knew it up to a point. He could memorize it. He could do
He
lectures
could
of
speak about it.
speak about it, but he didn't quite have the belief there at the end or whatever. Or maybe he
Yeah.
got it right at the end, or you know what I'm saying?
He
But I'm just
always
saying,
said that. He was just like
yes,
he could never get to that spot. He was just always working
he's a
toward
real
it.
dude. That's what I love about him.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
real dude. He was scared at the end. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, man. And that's fine. You could do it. Like he needed to be where he was, so he's gonna go to the next place where they need him. You know what I mean? So like, and I know Sharon
Yes.
knows that. So like, it's perfect. But it that's why I think he resonated so well with you and me and so many other obviously,
Yeah.
because he was so sincere and he was up. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was so close, or maybe something happened. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I love that because he never said he fucking was the man or you have to do it this way. Like that's one of the
Yeah. Absolutely. And he always he showed his vulnerable side, and he didn't do it right away because, we're all beings living here that, we're trying to figure things out. But when he got to certain points, he realized that he needed to do like his guru said, which was to uh love everybody and be honest. Like was it? Be truthful.
yeah. I
Like
love everyone and tell the truth.
tell the
Yeah.
truth and love everyone and tell the truth. And so when he was being hypocritical at one point, because I'm at this part in the book where he talks about he was having this relationship with this woman, but it was ridiculous because they were both telling all their followers to be celibate, and yet they weren't, and they were like lying that they were being celibate too, and yet they were having this affair or whatever. Not because, maybe, I don't remember if she was married or not, but anyway, yeah, it was like he knew he was being a hypocrite, and it was like hitting him hard, and it took him a while, but he finally wrote something and he put it out there to the world, that that was fake, that was a lie, that they were having an affair, and he felt so much better after like letting that go. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the, that's the key. That's the isness we see Ram Dass, and I'm talking to myself like I want to be like Ram Dass. I want to meet him, I want to be like him. I want to do all this stuff. And I feel like that's how we see all these people that write books and that do shows. People are like, I want to be like Sharon and Brandon. Don't be like us. We're already us guys. Go be
Be
like you.
yourself.
The
Yeah.
world wants you to be you. And that's what I think, that's what you start to learn that there is no thing to become or do or fucking ceremony. It's all that societal, that thin veneer of society. And we'll get back to the quote because I have more to say after we're done with this over, Sharon. The thin veneer of society, it I lost my place. It teaches you, that's what I was trying to say. It teaches you to be like that, I guess. What was I saying? Yeah, so just be yourself. I don't remember
Yeah.
what I was saying. Anyway.
Well, just as a reminder, the word guru actually just simply means a remover of darkness. So, someone who kind of maybe removes the veil so you can see, and to see what? That you are, that
Yes.
you are it, you are all you need to be. You
You're the
just need to
perfect
be.
little piece. We're like feathers on a bird, and we all want to be that feather and that feather, right? But like, no, just be your feather, and we'll be great. And someday you're gonna get plucked out and go to the earth, and who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
I heard this the other day, and I mean I've heard this kind of metaphor before, but hearing it again made me kind of recognize that, yeah. So it's like think of the human body and just like pretend that the ear is aware of itself, and that the big left toe is aware of itself. And the ear's like, but I want to be the big left toe man. He's awesome. Like, he gets to touch the ground. He's always grounding, man. And, like he's just like, he's so cool, man. He's his big toe and he's got a big nail. And the big toe's like, man, I want to be the ear because, the ear can hear and all this stuff. Like, man, I want to have that sense. I want to have that ability. Like, and it's like, just be yourself. You were meant to be the big toe, or you were meant to be the ear. Do what you were meant to be. That's what your purpose is. You're just because the ear is different than you doesn't make him better than you. You're all part of the whole. You're part of the body, but you're in your own unique way. You are just what you need to be.
a thousand
Right?
percent.
You would never say, oh, the ear's better than the toe, right? It's a different thing. It's just serves a different
Yeah.
purpose.
You wouldn't say I want to ear where my toe is, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. Or a toe where my ear is.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool, but we'd be calling her Aaron instead of Sharon. Am I right? I don't know. Yeah, and I remember what I was gonna say. It brought me right back. Thank you so much. It's so perfect because what I was saying with the thin veneer society, it's just because we look for our validation from exterior sources. So that's why if we have a belief system that we're working on and we're totally, like everyone's love, you just gotta love and light's perfect and just do unto others. So you could know that but you still have these underlying fears and you don't have the total belief that it's going to be okay. It's like when Sharon and I were talking about this guy who's a breatharian. We watched a video from years ago, like whatever, and this guy was claiming, and then we found a newer a video of him, and he looked like he was probably a little crazy, which is great. And he says now he's not a breatharian or whatever, but he lives on like one Big Mac and Diet
A
Coke a
day.
day. All right.
Yeah. And
Well,
hey,
and
everybody
if
can
he,
do OMAD. Everybody can do one meal a day. That's
yeah,
easy.
he's claims to be in like great health. So like if that's his belief, if that I'm not suggesting to go to McDonald's, but that stuff is just energy. And I don't think I'm at the point where I believe it enough to go eat it and it won't affect me. But if he,
Exactly. But it's the
right,
power of belief, and it is real.
right, yeah, it could be. So if we bring that all the way back to what I was talking about with the validation, that affects if you're raised with needing or if you're indoctrinated into getting a lot of your validation from exterior sources, then that's what's going to happen because, you know, you're going to be like, I think I can fly, but then there's doubt, right? Whatever it is you think you could do, there's these little doubts because you're not giving all yourself your belief in your love. It just really comes down to you don't believe in yourself. It's these simple little things they tell. Believe in yourself. Well, that there's a lot in that little believe in yourself statement because if you believe you could fly, I mean, maybe you could. Start from the ground though. Everyone wants to start from the top of a building. Just start from the ground if you think you could fly. I always have to make that that little what do they call it? Like a little
Yeah, disclaimer
disclaimer.
or
Perfect. Yes. Start from the ground and don't like, just try a couple feet at first. If you fall, you won't get hurt. Anyway, so I feel like that's how and it goes ties back into the quote perfectly because this thin veneer, the society or whatever gets us to look to outside sources to be like, is this okay? Are you sure? So it, and what's the remedy for that? Just if you start to not, if you're not sure and you're a little scared, just repeat the litany against fear. I'm not going to do it right now because you guys probably already know it because I've said it so much. But yeah, it's just little things like that. And just see what happens. You know, next time you want to do something that people say you can't do, not flying, try something small first. Go out and do it. You know, just try it and say, I can do this no matter what. I'm going to get this done. Just keep repeating yourself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it. And then watch it get done and then go on to something bigger. And just like the little engine who could. You're going up the hill. I think I can. I think I can. Right? Like those little things are so powerful. And I think that's why they stick with us. So believe in yourself.
yeah, and the quote reminds me of because it says the beast is not tamed by locking it up in a cage. And it
Yes.
it reminds me of those people who are said gurus, monks, all these kind of things, right? And there's a spot in the Being Ram Dass book where Ram Dass talks about Rinpoche, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Um, but he's talking about him, and because when Ram Dass's guru died, he okay. So anyway,
I'll
I
bring it
want to
back
say
to
like 800 things at once. Sorry.
us. We're
When
oversharing here, everybody.
when Ram Dass's guru died, he left him like sub gurus because like he was saying like there's this concept of like having like a master guru, which be like Sadguru. I guess that's the main that's your main guru in life. But you have like some sub I forgot what the smaller ones are, but like you have some sub
Yeah.
gurus along
They're
the
called like
way
mom and dad. No.
who yeah, who teach you other things, right? Who
Yeah.
they're always teachers, or the teachings, as Ram Dass would say. And so he believed that his guru Maharaji had left him a few to teach him like basically self-love and self-acceptance,
Mm.
right? Um so there was one which was the follower of Nityananda. What was his fucking name? Anyway, that was one of them. The next guy, and they were all just like pompous jerks, kind of, who were basically trying to use Ram Dass as like somebody to attract more followers for themselves. And then they were like, "Oh, I want to leave you the legacy. Like, if
Roshi,
you want,
Suzuki Roshi, was that one of them?
no, mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
um,
I know he talks about him, but
I haven't gotten to the part where he talks
well, I
necessarily
mean,
about
I'm just
him.
saying in his life, I haven't read that book.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think he does mention him, but I don't think he mentions him in a way of
Like a
like
negative way. Yeah, he seemed like a real
not in
deal
such a
guy.
negative way.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
I don't.
Zen, they fuck with you. That's their thing. So it's like if they're messing with
Oh,
you, yeah. They do the koans and they make you sit and they beat you if you move, like
okay, okay, yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I'm trying.
That's like the
I
Marines. It's so
feel like
crazy.
he
Like,
mentioned that.
not to again to make the show about me, but it's so nuts that I thought about this the other day. Like, I would get yelled at by my dad or other people, but it just wouldn't, and so it wasn't enough. So I had to go to the Marines to get yelled at by the experts, and they're the only
Trumba.
ones like. So that's how I learned, guys. That's how I learned my lessons. Like I knew I had to go to the guys that would yell at me the most to make me make my bed or whatever, you know. Like anyway.
Okay, Muktananda was the first guy.
Oh, Swami Muktananda.
Yeah, Muktananda, and that guy was
That's just how I heard him pronounce it before. So
yeah, that guy was a total like
scam.
yeah, well, yeah, he had cities and powers and stuff. And
Uh,
that's what drew Ramdas to him. There was still something in Ramdas that wanted, that
yeah.
feel the power. Like I want the
Well,
power.
you think about,
And
remember
so
the
that's
jokes I
why
was
they
making
would,
about flipping tables? He was one of those, he grew up in this household. So it's me, I mean, speaking of thin veneer of culture, he had a thick, like this is what you must do. You must go to fucking Harvard or Yale or wherever he went, and then he became a professor, like the top one at Harvard in psychology, because his dad was like a president of a railroad, and he was a lawyer. Like, you gotta succeed. So that means he
Mhm.
was doing all this thing, and he was like, how am I looking now? Am I good, mommy, daddy? And
yeah,
then his mom dies.
yeah,
And now he's looking for other people to give him validation. Maharaji.
hmm
And I think Maharaji realized that. That's why he treated him that way. And it was like you can look at his life and the way he talks is a slow evolution of figuring it out. And maybe at the end he still had a little bit left, which is fine, right? We're not judging anyone because that's what we're here to do. Figure that out and believe in ourselves.
yeah. So he talks about like Muktananda was the first guy who was supposed to kind of help him with this like power, like overcome that. And then the next guy, um, well, Muktananda and Sai Baba were like they were like duking it out or whatever, trying to like have some power over each other at the time.
Oh, so crazy.
Um, and the next guy was Trungpa. I don't,
Yeah, Trungpa.
yeah,
Trungpa
Rinpoche.
Rinpoche? Yeah.
Yeah, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche.
Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pronounce, but that was the next guy. And he would also kind of just bring him in to like, answer all the tough questions and like make him look like, basically he would gather more attention than Trungpa himself.
Yeah.
And so
But
he was using that.
he got like
And
lost in those cool names. It's like I got Chogam
yeah,
Trungpa Rinpoche coming, and everyone's like, "Ooh, I could say Rinpoche." It's cool though. Like, and I see that happening. Like Sharon, look around. Remember where we were a few years ago, and where we are now? Like, I see that stuff like that happening everywhere. People are vying. Listener, if you're giving us your attention right now, we appreciate it so much. Thank you. If you're new to the show, this is a crazy one, and thank you for being here. And I really appreciate your attention because your attention is the most valuable thing you have. All these people are out there vying on YouTube, on TV, on Spotify, on the radio, satellites. What are they doing? They're trying to get your attention. What are they doing? They're sending you messages. Why? Because they want your attention and your validation. But it's fine. We've got to stay connected. I'm not. But what I'm saying is just know, realize, have the knowing, somehow get it in your head that your attention is the most
why
powerful.
do they want your attention?
Yeah, why?
Too?
And it's the most powerful currency. And you're right, Sharon. Why do they want
Yeah.
your attention?
Yeah, just think about why. Like, and I'll tell you that I don't want your attention necessarily because we're not asking you for money or anything like that. We just tell you to come hang out. So, you know, yeah, do I want you to participate in the chat and listen and check this out? Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Because I find it like very useful and helpful information and I want to share it because that's who I am. I'm Sharon. So,
Yeah,
but
totally.
that's the only reason I really want the attention necessarily.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
like a fellowship, I feel like. This show is more like a fellowship.
yeah,
I'm Gandalf. I gather all the hobbits and the men around me, and Sharon's I'm trying to
I
think of
don't
like
even know where I am.
Galadriel. She's
Thank
the
you.
elf, and we're just like, listen, guys, this is what's going on. It's rough. I'm smoking
The
over my
council.
tobacco. Huh? The council, yeah.
There you
So,
go.
welcome to part of our council, everybody. You have a say. Leave a comment in the chat also. You can do a chat or a comment. you have a say in the council, the Oversharon Show Council, if you will.
Yeah.
I feel like we just created something in the future by saying
Yeah.
that. There's like a
And
council.
if you're in the council, you're in the Great Pyramid scheme, you
That's
know?
right.
Just
So not only can you be in the Great Pyramid Scheme, you could be on the council and you don't got to do nothing but hit a thumbs up button,
once a week.
subscribe once a week, and just hang out. Yeah, I love that because what I was saying about the attention, like I'm so grateful. And like Sharon said, we have our intentions are so different than probably a lot of people who are looking for your attention, right? We don't really, our intentions are, I could say at least mine are selfish in a way, but it's more because this is a form of my expression. So this keeps me sane, if you will. It's kind of like my therapy in a way. And we've talked about
Yeah,
this.
it's mine too. It's my
So
therapy and my outlet.
yeah. So it is selfish. We're doing it for
It's
ourselves,
my show for
but
crying
that's
out
yeah,
loud.
exactly. So that's like the limit of our selfishness. We're not trying to like sow dissent and like also gain a following. And yeah, it would be great if our audience grew, whatever. But that just means the council will be bigger and like everyone kind of is, getting it. But anywho, yeah, it's so just be aware of where your attention goes, everyone. That's all. And again, there's nothing wrong with watching TV or movies or any comedian or whatever you want to watch on, we're not telling you just to watch us and then meditate all day. We're just saying to be a little more present, maybe could be a good idea. And then also, when it comes to TV and movies, just try not to identify with the characters. Do that as like a thought experiment. Just watch it objectively, right? Watch it as a critic, as somebody who wants to write a movie like that or something, because I feel like, and we've talked about this a lot, but it's a good subject since we're just rambling today. When people watch TV and movies and stuff like that, the issue is not the TV. It's just like money. Money's a currency. There's no problem with money. It's the way people use it. TV, I feel like it's the same thing. Yeah, you can overdo it. And yeah, you can let it raise your kids and then they're gonna turn out crazy like me and then have a whatever. But anyway, so as you don't identify with the characters, you just see the real story, what's going on. That's where you really can learn these lessons that are woven into movies. Every movie I feel could be like a parable, and I don't even think the people making it necessarily
No.
know. Because if they're just channeling it, they're putting their truth. And now, because you have a different perspective than the person who made it, you're like, whoa, I see what they're saying, and they don't even realize they're saying it, right? Or the other way is you identify with the main character, and he goes through all these ups and downs, and sometimes it's good. You need an inspiring show. That's why I talk about Alien and Aliens because there's a positive female character in there. Sigourney Weaver, she kicks ass, and it's not even like over the top. It's nothing that a woman couldn't do. Everything she does, she uses her brain. She's really smart. She is strong and fights a little bit. But it's all stuff like it's no stretch. Like, yeah, that's a great woman. She like smacks a Marine around because he's losing his mind. And as a Marine, I'm like, yeah, if there was another Marine that was like losing his shit, smack him. Like, give him that positive, feminine, uh, this pot.
Reinforcement or like
Yeah, right. This positive, it's just really an example of the feminine in a positive way instead of, so much in society see a negative way. So she was giving it to the Marine by smacking him and caused him to like be better, right? So just for that, it's a great series. I feel like I'm doing an alien commercial here. But so anyway, yeah, you could identify with the characters and it could be good and uplifting. But in some of these shows, you watch like Breaking Bad, and if you who are you gonna identify with on that show? Like that show and I'm not saying not to watch it, but if you're watching it and you're identifying with any of those characters, you're gonna have a rough day, because like none of those people get unscathed out of there. But it's great because I think it shows how poisonous crime is, right? So it is a good show because you could watch it objectively. You could fast forward through parts if you want. And then you could say to yourself, you know what? I am and again, so I say to myself, I am a genius. I probably could make millions of dollars as a criminal, but look at all the shit just happened on this TV show. Like I could just imagine, and you see it all how it happens. Like the guy Vince Gilligan, I think his name is, beautifully illustrates how cause and effect in these things. And then also, if you look deeper, there's like vibrations of people you start hanging out with and start acting like, and these things that to the character seem like bad luck, but you as the viewer, you get to see the behind the scenes and stuff, so you see how it was caused by their own actions. So in that way, Breaking Bad, if someone says, should I watch it? I'm like, I don't know. Are you going to identify with Walter White? because you're gonna end up running around in your fucking skivvies, like in your tidy whities. Like,
Or the Righteous Gemstones, which we've been watching.
great show.
It's so nuts, so ridiculous.
We could talk about that for
Like,
sure.
I'm just like, why? How?
And the best part is whoever wrote that, and I was explaining this to my lovely wife because she doesn't,
Danny McBride.
yeah, she's not very familiar with Christianity. She didn't grow up the way I did and stuff. She has a basic understanding, but what I told her was, I'm like, other Christians are watching the show. I'm like, this show isn't making fun of Christians. It's making fun of a certain type of Christian that other Christians make fun of too. So like, this show, that's why it's such a big hit because I think Christians like that show and they get it too. They're like, oh yeah, like we see these people. And it's so yeah.
But it's like so over the top that
Is it
I'm
too
just like,
much?
are people even like that? I'm questioning it, like if people really are that way. That's
Well,
how ridiculous it is. But
yeah, so maybe there's no one that's actually that ridiculous, but that's again where it makes it
right,
funny because
yeah,
with humor, you
it's a
exaggerate, right?
it's
But it's
very
pretty close, though, I'm
it's
sure.
hyperbole. It's like ridiculous hyperbole. But yeah,
Exactly.
but
But like you think
I
about Jimmy Swagger, like how do you think his family's living? Like that guy got caught with a prostitute, remember? You remember that guy?
I mean, I remember the name of the guy. Yeah,
We
I
used
don't
to
remember his
I think I seen him live
details
when
of
I was a
his
kid.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But
People in the
anyway,
chat, if you remember Jimmy Swagger, give a shout out because he was caught with a prostitute and then he did the best thing ever. He just admitted it. He asked for forgiveness and he cried on TV. And that
and
dude
that
never
was
been
it.
more popular after that.
See, Zane,
like he almost planned it. It's like he had a publicist that was like, you know what, Jimmy? Maybe
I
something
want to
else
be
happened.
more popular than I
Like,
am right
there's
now.
no such thing as bad publicity. And Jimmy Stewart was like, what do you mean? Like, how can we take that to the extreme? Well, do you like hookers? And he was probably like, yeah. And like, well, we got good news for you then, Jimmy. Just have one of them call the newspaper and I'll take care of the rest.
That segues perfectly with what I wanted to talk about with the the beast is not tamed by locking it up in a cage, because you have people like Trungpa who was like friggin' I don't know, sleeping with all these women or whatever, like
Yeah.
or whatever, whoever was doing that, don't quote
Yeah,
me.
we're not making claims. There's
But
just
like all these people that come here from the East who are alleged gurus, right? Set themselves up to be these like people on pedestals. And yet they're doing things that, you're like, so you're on a pedestal, but you're being a hypocrite, or you're being, you're doing. But the thing was, Trumpa was, he wasn't even hiding it. I think that's what, if I remember correctly, he was like open about all his stuff, like his escapades and whatever the hell he was doing.
so he was
And
living
yet he
kind.
was still popular, and he could Ramdas was saying he could get so either drunk or high or whatever, and he could still deliver a fantastic, wonderful speech or lecture about Buddha or Tibetan's Buddhism or whatever the heck he was talking about. It's like
He's a
just
channel.
yeah, just because he could do that stuff doesn't mean he's worked out all his shit.
And furthermore, if all that didn't happen, would we even have heard of Ram Dass?
Yeah.
Maybe it was the mixing of it that made it so, what's the word? Not taboo, but like exotic to people. And the white people are like, whoa, man, I wanna listen to Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche
Yeah,
talk.
because Ram Dass was saying that Trumpa's way was to like do the desires, like let it all out,
Yeah.
right? And Ram Dass didn't feel like that was his way, and that wasn't Maharaji's way either. There was like it was more about maybe like love, but not in the way that Trungpa was doing it,
It
which was
reminds
like,
me more of like an Aleister Crowley kind of approach, you know?
yeah,
Uh
yeah.
like
Which
we're but
there's
again
nothing
that
wrong with it, because we're gonna get to that, and I'll read the quote from that other book I was telling you guys. But go ahead.
of course I keep spoiling things without even knowing. Uh
No, it's segueing
no.
very perfectly.
Yeah, and the point to finish that real quick was just that So even though all this stuff happened, it happened the way it was supposed to, all this craziness, so we can get the message to further dissect it even more and it makes sense for us, and we can help you. It's kind of like it's just the Lord works in mysterious ways, right? So that's why I forgot the original way. I'll come back to me, but that's why I don't look at this in like a kind of a victim way or whatever, I guess. I don't know. I forgot what I was saying, but go ahead. It'll come back to me.
Yeah. So just to belabor the point, but like the quote says, the beast is not tamed by locking it up in a cage.
Yeah.
So having all these like religious views of like, oh, it can only be this way and it can only be this way. It's only like this. Then you're like, feel trapped and the beast is locked up in a cage, right? And that doesn't tame you. That just makes you want to do it more. And that's what I haven't talked about that much before, but Ram Dass was bisexual and he like still liked women too, but he always had this like underlying attraction to men too. And so, but he hid that because, it was taboo at the time. And um he so he couldn't work out all that he was going through, and he couldn't work all that out. And I don't understand it myself because I don't know what that feels like to be attracted to the same sex. But he had to work on that in some way, and being kind of locked up in this mentality that he was being bad, or it was wrong or whatever. It wasn't helping him to heal that part of him. And
Mm,
so the final end of this quote says, "There's no morality without freedom." What are your thoughts on that?
well, simply stated, and I think I remember Shadow's a sarcastic warlock. We talked about this concept where it's like if you don't have the freedom to make a choice, then you're not making a choice. You're not
You're
choosing to
not.
be moral. You're not choosing to make the right choice. You're
You're not.
living from fear. You're
Yes.
afraid. And this is a concept I try to explain to people, especially when the time came when everyone had to cover their smiling face. I would tell people, listen, I don't follow the law because I'm afraid of getting put in jail. I'm not afraid of jail. In fact, I have no fear at all of a jail cell. I've been in one before, and not for a long time. It was like in Myrtle Beach, some silly stuff for a couple hours. I even was a military police officer for about 6 months when I was in the Marine Corps. It was like a temporary thing we used to do, whatever. I'm just so people know I'm not making claims. But anyway, I'm not. I'm just not afraid of it, and I understand the culture of prison. I would probably do great in prison. I'd probably be running it. They would probably get me out of there so fast. They'd be like, dude, you can't.
You
You
can't
gotta be
liberate
free
all these people
because
from,
these
you
people,
can't liberate
yeah.
their minds
Well,
because
that they're just
then we
gonna
won't have
start,
no one here.
and they're gonna start like worship. They're gonna be like, he's
We
so
won't have
cool.
jobs.
What and when I say that I would take over a prison, this is again, everyone. I'm a comedian. But what I mean is everybody there would start to love me so much because of the way I am around people that
Like Ram Dass.
if anybody fucked with me, including the warden, people would probably throw themselves at them to rip them apart. Like it would get fanatical. And I don't know why. It's just a feeling I have. So anyway, back to my original point before I forget it. I'm not afraid of jail. The reason I choose not to murder people or commit crimes, it's not because I think I'm going to get caught, because I think I could probably be a criminal mastermind if I wanted to, guys. Trust me. I know a few, maybe allegedly, or I've met some in my time. It's not hard. It's because I don't want to do it. I want to do something else. I want to do what I'm excited about. It makes me feel good. Selling the spice melange or the cocaine, like it doesn't make me excited. I saw Blow and I'm like, unlike people, I know them. I didn't know them at the time, but I know people who went to the theater and watched that movie Blow and they were like, whoa, afterwards, and they became drug dealers. I
Below
watched them,
deck.
huh?
I'm just kidding.
Allegedly, they can't. They don't do it anymore. Most of them got busted. I've heard this story, but I know the people. Anyway, so it's a cautionary tale. But when I remember, I watched the movie around the same time. I didn't know these guys then. I watched it with other people. But I remember the guy just kept getting arrested at the end, and I'm like, man, that it's not even worth it. That's the lesson I got. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's why I don't break the law, and that's why I'm a good person or whatever you want to call, because I have the freedom to make those choices. Technically, I could be a criminal if I wanted to. There's not like we don't have a Soviet level oppression on us. You know what I mean? You could go outside. It's getting harder every day to try to like skirt around the law, I guess, because of digital currencies or whatever. But anyway, that's in a nutshell what I mean by you have to have the freedom. So if you could take that tiny concept of me and then as below, because I'm below, above, as above, so below, God, do you think that maybe God's like, hey, if I want to see these people really learn lessons and be moral, I gotta allow them to do negative and positive, whatever they want. And that also means that I can't judge them because what kind of asshole would God be? What kind of asshole would he be if he created us, gave us the ability to do right and wrong because he wanted us to learn lessons, but then judged us for doing the wrong thing?
Yeah,
You
it makes
think
no sense.
that
It's
makes you what
retarded.
kind of fucking asshole would he? I'm not saying
It's
he's, but what
retarded. It doesn't make
that
sense.
that sounds like the other guy. That sounds like the trickster. That sounds like the guy with the silver tongue that's inside us, the adversary. That sounds like adversary, right? The one that's trying to tell you right now that you're nothing and you should just shut up, Brandon. No one cares. No, everyone loves this because I have positive self-talk going. That's what we learned from the Alchemist. To talk about that a little. All those characters in that book have the positive self-talk, and I've been learning from that. And I say that to myself, like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And if I'm late for something, I realized I'm gonna be fucking late, and I'm not gonna care. And well, okay, I'm gonna do my best. But these circumstances I've noticed, and I've been watching patterns, and it's funny because it happened with Sharon, and I didn't get to tell her because yesterday was so crazy. But so she had texted me like, "You guys, this is time travel." But she had texted me a couple days ago asking me for an audio, and I went right to my computer, put it on there, thought I sent it to her,
And walked away.
walked away, and did my weekend, all proud of how I got it done right away. And then she texted me Monday and was like, "You're gonna send that?" And I'm like, "Wait, is there another one?" Then I looked, and there was a red exclamation on my yeah. Anyway, so it still is my fault, you know. But I'm just saying little silly things like this, or also like going to gigs, when you were talking about going with the flow, and we talked about the Tao, how you kind of go with the flow, and I've realized certain times I'll be just a few minutes late, which I build in a lot of time. So technically I'm really early, but in my mind, I want to get there at a certain time, and I get there like 10 or 15 minutes after. But it's really through no fault of my own. Like I make all the preparations, I'm like ready ahead of time, but it just seems like silly things in traffic, or I'll misplace something or whatever it is.
Through no
And
fault of my own.
yeah, well, sometimes it
Just
is me.
kidding.
I lost things, but then other times it's just like, what happened with traffic? Like this guy was just stopped at a green light and he was like talking to someone behind him, waving. I thought I was about to see someone get shot. Anyway, but silly little things. But I notice I'm going with the flow and there's reasons. But then when I get to wherever I'm going, it works out like perfectly. Like it worked out where if I had gotten there earlier, I would just sat around or whatever. Or I see somebody, I go a different way. And so what I've been learning is to just kind of go with the flow with it all. And there I go. I'm done because I forgot what I was talking about. Anyway,
Okay. Well, I would like to get
sorry.
back to the
Yes, let's get
reading
back.
of that book that I was talking to you about. Um, The Greatest Story Never Told by Richard Martini. So, Jesus just basically told them that um, not to force people to believe in whatever you think is best for yourself. All right. And so the person who is asking the question is in agreement, says, and I'm repeating this because I had read it earlier. Okay, fighting against things, resisting it is part of the ego anyway. And I'm just rereading this part again. And the person channeling says, your son jumped in and said, there's no right or wrong. Jesus nods his head, right? And then now the channeler is talking about what Jesus is saying. Jesus apparently says, correct. But those who live on earth who are causing the disruption wholeheartedly believe that there is a right or wrong. So to teach them what is right and wrong, you must first teach them that there is a right or wrong before you can teach them the concept there is no right or wrong. Dude, I laughed when I read that.
This is why you can't wake somebody up or tell them something exactly because
Exactly.
they have blind spots that you don't understand. And you have blind spots that you don't understand, Brandon. Haha.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow,
Uh,
yeah, that's great.
yep.
Yeah, that's so that's what I was saying with the whole getting being late and that stuff. So I realize and it fits in perfectly with this really, and I haven't been hard on myself. So I what I've been doing is, and what I mean by that, I've been trying to take several steps and look at things, and it's been working out the past couple weeks, and I've been on time with certain, I've been getting better. So that's working out, but what I stopped doing was like being hard on myself and just being mad about it or whatever, or even if I'm late, like just yelling in the car or whatever it is. Like I'm just like I'm gonna get there when I get there, man. This is great. I'm hanging out. I'm with God right now. It's just me and God in the car. I could listen to Dune. I could listen to Eknath, Eshwaran if I want to.
It's funny. I was
Paul Baisley, reading Eknath.
yeah.
I just want to keep saying it, Eshwaran. All right, go ahead.
I'm listening to a lot of I mean that's all I want to do lately is just like listen to my audiobooks or read because everything's
Yeah.
so good. But
Yeah.
I had pulled the card earlier in the show and I just set it aside, but I didn't look at it. I just looked at it. Are you ready to see it?
Yeah.
I pulled from the Fairy Tale Tarot
Oh, all
and
right.
it is the Ace of Swords. It's kind of reflecting back to me. So sorry, it's not
No, you're good.
really.
Oh, I almost.
Maybe
Let's
I'll
see if
do
I
it
could
like
just pin
this
you.
so it doesn't look so washed out. So, um, Ace of Swords. It's this lady that's like by, I don't know, a lake or something. There's like a castle in the background. There's some doves or seagulls flying away from her. There's a sword in the ground. She's in like the grass and the reeds. There's a tree next to her and some roots of a tree, and her hair is just kind of like flying away from her, like the wind's blowing. And she's wearing this like coat or maybe like a robe type thing over her dress. I'm gonna see what story that is.
Oh. And
Um,
while you do that quickly, I was gonna say, but I didn't want to interrupt what you're doing. But when you were talking about audiobooks and stuff, I was gonna say, I think if I'm almost done with God Emperor of Dune again, and I think if I listen to it two more times, I'd have to go probably through not all of them, but just the Frank Herbert ones. But if I get to that one and I listen to it two more times, I might figure out. I just might either ascend or disappear or dissolve or figure out the secrets of the universe. That book is nuts. God
and
Emperor of Dune,
which
because
in what number is
uh
that in the
four, I
series?
believe, because it's Dune.
Children
So
of Dune?
I'm talking strictly the Frank Herbert novels
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
So there's Dune, and then there was like
Children of Dune?
no, there was something, and then Children of Dune, and then the God
Okay.
Emperor.
I think I have I think I wrote down the numbers. Let's see.
Yeah,
Dune
because
Messiah,
Dune
then
Messiah,
Children of Dune.
yes.
So
Dune,
Dune
yeah.
Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, and Heretics
Yeah,
of
I'm
Dune.
so excited. I'm almost there. Heretics. Anyway, God Emperor of Dune. Maybe I can make the claim right now. It's probably my favorite work of fiction, just that single book. And you have
God
to
Emperor
like
of Dune.
read all the in the simple reason, and we won't spend much time. I'll be done with this point in a minute. Is because this character. I don't want to spoil a lot, but there's a character in there that through all kinds of different weird scientific sci-fi ways, he might have merged with another species, but he's like 3,500 years old. He was a human, and now he's like half something else, right? And he is also because of the way that the Bene Gesserit can have all the memories of all the women, because he's also another Lisan al
Gaib?
Gaib. What do they call him?
Oh,
Anyway, he's another
Muad'Dib?
Kwisatz. He's another
Haderach.
Kwisatz Haderach. I won't say who he is, but he's not Paul. He's another Kwisatz Haderach. He also has all the memories of now men and women going back. So he has all the memories of any men or women that existed.
He's the equivalent of the Akashic record.
Yeah, and he has access to all that, right? And he has 3,500 years of experience at being alive in that position. And he even admits at a point where he's not really totally in control, like because the danger of this, and I'll make this brief again. So you've probably heard when they say abomination because Paul's sister in the original book, Aaliyah, is born inside the womb when Jessica does the spice and becomes a reverent mother. Her unborn child now has all the memories of all the women, so it kind of fries her mind. And they're worried that she's an abomination. So, an abomination is when another personality takes over, and then it's not you anymore. You take a back seat. So, Leto, oh shit, I said who it was. Anyway, so the character who's 3,500 years old, um, he admits that in his because he in this book, right? Also, it's basically his thoughts transcribed through this device that can transcribe everything, and then he has conversations with other people too. So you're getting a lot of his point of view. But because the brilliant writing style of Frank Herbert, you also get other people's points of view too. So it's not just his. But this was something that's transcribed now, and you're reading like from the future. And every quote in the beginning of every chapter is just mind blowing. Poor Sharon, like I send her these Dune quotes, but everyone is just his observation on society and something that happened. And what it really is an observation on our current society, right? From a lens is like, oh, I'm just writing this fiction, right? But you could see what he's really talking about in, yeah, it's really amazing. But I forgot what I was talking about that. But yeah, that I think that's why that's my favorite book. And there's a reason I brought up Doom, but I can't remember. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell. So it's a very interesting perspective anyway. And when he talks to other people, that's what I was gonna say. It reminds me of kind of when you're talking to normies or someone who's not awake, and he never really tries to wake anyone one up, but he just like says things like about these observations he's having. It's really interesting. But anyway, I'm nerding out now.
Well, maybe one day I will read or slash listen to the rest of the Dune series.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
feel
it's
whatever makes you
gonna take a
excited.
lifetime.
Yeah, whatever makes you. It's just for me. I feel like I'm taking a lot of information I've collected throughout my life, and I'm using the Dune books as kind of like a conduit for the energy for it to. It's hard to explain, but anyway, it's really interesting stuff. I'm probably only gonna. It's almost done with this, and then I'll listen to Heretics again. Then I'll probably. I need time to let it churn. I can't just. So. I do that. I don't think the last time I listened was over a year ago, and then I got back into it. It's usually when I'm just doing art at night, I'll listen a little bit. I wasn't like when I first listened, I was like obsessed. Now it's like 20 minutes here or there, if that. So it's taken me a while. But
How about Robert Monroe's books?
yeah, I gotta get back into it actually. Good thing you said that. It reminded me, so maybe I will because
Yeah,
I feel
those are
like
really
yeah,
eye-opening.
I'm about to have a slot open because there's another book that I listen to too that it's about to be over. So yeah, I'll get into that more because I want to start uh doing a little more art and I like to listen to audiobooks when I do it. So perfect.
Sweet. All right. Well, I will read to you about the Ace of Swords.
Yeah.
It says the story is Capo Rushes. The culture is English. The key words are beginnings, vision, intensity, and focus. Symbols and meaning says Capo Rush's cape is made from rushes. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Symbolizing her inner growth as she proceeds on her journey. It is also a testament to her strong will and ability to adapt to her changing environment. Capo Rushes holds 3 feathers. I'll keep reading. Got to turn the page. Symbols of freedom. What were we just freaking talking about? There is no morality without freedom.
And guess what, everybody? You're the only one who could make yourself free because freedom, could it be that it starts in the mind? There's no way you can keep direct slaves. Like if somebody tried to put me in a cage, they're direct slave, I would try to kill them every chance I got. You know what I mean? You can't keep a, so they got to be a mental slave. And
It is. It is
uh,
mental slavery. It's
but keep
very
going. I'm
sad.
sorry. Or was there more?
All
Or
right.
yeah,
So
sorry.
her wild tresses acknowledge the adventurous situation that she has found herself in. Her bag carries ideas and hopes for a prosperous future. The rushes surrounding her are symbolic of growth and resiliency. The sword with the red hilt denotes strength and the forging of new ideas. The pebbles and branches symbolize the passing of time. The seagulls, which I guessed correctly, signify freedom and continuation.
That's such a
Now,
sync.
seagulls, I
Yeah. I don't, you want to keep reading or
recently,
you want me to tell you? It'll be quick.
yeah, seagulls, I've just, something happened with seagulls. Somebody mentioned seagulls or something was about seagulls the other day. So that's a sync too, but go ahead.
So there's the Steve Miller band, the Steve Miller song, "Fly Like an Eagle to
Yes.
the
Da da da
Sea,"
da da.
right? So I played that. I DJ'd at a wedding Saturday. I played that as the first song when there's like no one in there, just some of the staff, and I'm testing. I play different songs, so I was just singing that song, so I played it, and then I was singing when I was setting up and doing other stuff when it wasn't playing. I was just being silly and singing my own version. And I'm like, I want to fly like a seagull to the
Yes.
tree.
That's funny.
So, and I've been singing it for like the past just in my head. And then you said seagull. So it's like, look for the, and brings me back to the Alchemist where the omens are everywhere. You could be your own guru sometimes. Like you do have a higher self. And sometimes
Mhm.
you say these things, you don't realize what you said. A lot of times I do that. And maybe there's a reason I was singing the silly seagull song. Seriously. But
Yeah.
could it be because I had to pay attention to this thing about freedom and we just talked about it and what's more free than a seagull? It's a bird who was half on land and in the ocean. That no fear. Like they don't care, man.
Yeah.
I've seen them.
They're crazy as hell.
Watch Finding
Oh,
Nemo. Those things are crazy. Mine.
they'll eat your freaking sandwich. Oh, that's what it was. It was when we were with my family playing a card game, it was like giving you hints. It was like, what am I? And then it'd give you hints. And one of them was like, I'll steal your sandwich or something like that. But it was already like heading toward like that it was a seagull. And yeah, but somebody guessed it before that.
That was Saturday.
Yeah,
Do you know when I DJ the wedding that I was singing about seagulls?
that's funny.
Saturday. Look at that alliteration. Uh,
Saturday seagulls.
Yeah, singing about seagulls on Saturday at a what's a S word for a wedding?
Cody
Anyway,
has a guitar that's a seagull.
and flock of seagulls.
Oh yes, that's a good
But yeah,
phrase.
no, I love it because then the card, so we both had this experience, and now everybody we're talking to weeks in the past. This is time travel. Thank you so much for being in the chat, by the way. You guys are so amazing staying around. This is pretty much probably the end. We're wrapping it up. I think we're like
Yeah,
right
we're
around the.
wrapping it up.
So I'll do the quick, but we go back to that though. I'll just say thank you guys. Shout out
I
to the
haven't
chat.
finished reading either, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I figured. I just wanted to say this before it was too ending. But yeah, thank you
Yeah,
guys so
yeah.
much. Make sure comments below. What did you think about this? Let us know. But yeah, I want to hear more. I love that the theme of freedom because freedom starts in your mind, something we talk about all the time, right? And you have to allow yourself to make bad decisions. That's the other thing I wanted to say. It's got to be okay to make the wrong choice, man. You got to just do it and fuck up. Like Chogum Tringpa Rinpoche. You got Trungpa. You got to go out and
Just do your thing.
yeah, I'm not going to tell you what to do or
Live your
anyone,
life.
but it's fine. And then you're like, I don't like this anymore. And you decide on your own. You made your own choice with no one else's validation, right? And you start with baby steps. You could start with biting your nails or Ben and Jerry's ice cream. You could quit that or whatever it is, or slow down, or I don't know,
And
whatever.
I will quote Jesus from the afterlife one more time.
All right,
Correct.
let's do
But
it. Go.
those who live on earth who are causing the disruption wholeheartedly believe there is a right or wrong. So, to teach them what is right and wrong, you must first teach them there is a right or wrong before you can teach them the concept that there is no right or wrong.
Yeah,
I
because
didn't say it.
and it's because I feel like it's a like a the David R. Hawkins scale of consciousness. Think of that as a guide. You have to get to a certain consciousness to be able to
Or
see
level of truth,
level
right?
of truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Like
it's
it is true that there's a right or wrong, but that's only at a certain level of
yeah,
consciousness. And at
yeah.
another level of consciousness, there really is no right or wrong.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. And that's when you realize that it's okay. And we say that because it's okay to do the wrong thing because you'll know if you understand the concept finally of right and wrong, then you're not going to need a guide. You'll know if you're doing it wrong. So just make the decision. And how does it make you feel? You know, should I have ran over that group of kids that were in the street and they wouldn't get out of my way? Probably not. I feel terrible now, everybody. Just kidding. I'm a comedian. I wouldn't run over children
Oh my God, that makes
purposely.
me think of the freaking gemstones. Good God.
But like I would do, you know, I used to in my crazy days allegedly, if I was driving and kids were like trying to be on their bikes, but like, you know, punks and they were like, I swerve at them. Not that I would hit them, but they would, I'd make it pretty believable though.
All right, let me just finish
Jokes.
this.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Let's see. The castle in the background holds the key to undiscovered treasure. Oh my God. We've been talking about the alchemist and the treasure.
Yeah.
And this episode was supposed to be an alchemist episode, by the way, you guys.
It could be a pyramid back there almost too, you know,
Yeah.
the treasure where it is. Yeah.
The lake contains collected wisdom. It reflects the landscape and reveals the constant motion of the psyche. And water is about emotions, if you remember. The gray skies suggest the unknown and the changeability of the future. This card signifies the necessity to take charge and embrace the opportunity for bright new beginnings. Of course, it's an ace, so it's about beginnings. You may have to scrutinize your situation and take stock of what you need to do in order to overcome unforeseen problems that may arise in the future.
What was I just talking about? Trying to be on time. Those are all the things I have to do. And I've been working on. That's so synchronistic.
Crazy.
What a great episode. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Yeah, you're
Thank you so much, everyone in the
welcome.
chat and everyone who's listening to the sound of my voice, whenever this is. And if it's the future and you're worshiping us, please don't. Go,
If you think of us as
go get
gurus
drunk.
of removers of darkness, then that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I would just say don't worship us. I
Yeah, yeah.
think
Just if we helped you open your eyes a little bit, you know,
I mean
then
you can thank us. I don't think that's worshiping, but
yeah,
you
that's
know.
great. Have gratitude for us. Laugh at my silly jokes and ramblings and stories and when I lost my place, you know. I'm the chaos of the
Laughing to
show.
myself.
It's what I bring. Sharon is the it's like a yin and a yang. It's a great you know.
Well, masculine, feminine,
Yeah, I mean it, you know, I could it be. It's like I love it. And that ace of swords is perfect for
swords.
that. And I talked about swords. Remember I was like you're just a sword and you're getting shaped, you're like a blade and there's all your experiences are shaping you. I s-
Yes.
all right. Well, looks like we've been going for just under 2 hours, so let's wrap this puppy up. If do you have anything else you'd like to
Wrap
say?
it up. Um,
We're probably going to be
Not
live next
really.
week, everybody. Or maybe no, maybe not. We still might be recorded, but it's cool. We're
Yeah,
still
we'll
here
see.
in
We'll
spirit.
figure it
We'll
out.
be
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll be in the chats
yeah,
as
we'll be
much as we
there.
can.
Exactly.
But yeah, you'll see us time travel, I think.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and so yeah, the background's probably going to change at some point.
Well, there should be a way to like screenshot it and then paste it
Oh
there. That
yeah,
it could be anywhere with the same. That'd be funny.
true. I could take a picture of
Oh
this
yeah.
background
Oh, that would be so funny.
and then use that as my my faux background, you know.
That'd be hilarious just to see what it looks like.
I
And then
know.
people would be like, they'd watch it, and if they didn't know, then be like, Sharon's fake. She's got a fake studio. And it was just that one episode they saw. All right. All right. I think we've got to the end. Thanks again, everybody. Remember, comments for just one thumbs up a week. You can be part of the great pyramid scheme. More laws, more problems.com over Sharon tab. And what do we say to the good people, Sharon?
That once you start over, Sharon.
Then you totally stop over caring.
That's right.
And remember, everybody, despite the last 2 hours of me rambling and Sharon providing amazing commentary and support and whatever, and being, despite the last 2 hours, it's an amazing show. We're not telling you how to live your life.
We're still reminding you to just be, because even in the book that I've been reading from, he tells the lady that's doing the channeling, he tells her, you just need to be. You just need to be.
Just
That's it.
stop worrying about money.
Yeah.
He's like, what's the
Let
secret of life?
let it go. Yes. Let it go and just be. I'm
Just
like,
chill out,
I just
dude.
said that, you guys.
Amazing. All right, everybody.
Thanks.
Until next week, have a great weekend. See you later. Bye bye. Take care.